just yet. They chose their king, their power was met, but we don't answer to Ottawa yet. No crown gave us what we've earned, just dirt and fire and lessons learned. Now the ground it shakes, the steel it groans, and Alberta walks alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands never on its knees, a nation born in the forge of the free. From the rigs to the rails, the crops to the code, we lit their streets, we bore their load. They laughed at pride, they mocked the West, but freedom don't die, it just waits for the test. The cowboys ride, the farmers rise, 5 million strong under open skies. No leash, no lie, no foreign throne. This land is steel and it stands alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands never on its knees, a nation born in the forge of the free. Can't kill the mountain, can't drown the plain, can't burn the spirit that won't be chained. He stares down east with a calloused hand and says, this time we draw the line in the land. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands never on its knees.
Ho, ho, ho. It's 7-Eleven and it's Brucial coming to you from the Heat Bowl of Calgary, Alberta. What an awesome, awesome time to be alive. I'm so excited to be here. Got a great guest coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are watching this, make sure to share this out. We got to get some more eyeballs on this information, wake up the nation, and get them to participate in their own freedom. I'm excited to be here, like I said, and I'm very, very, very honored that you are here with me as well. I have a fantastic guest, returning guest, Peter MacIsaac, wildfire specialist. And I would consider him my friend, even though we've never met in person. So I'm excited to have him and excited to talk about what the hell is going on. But I really wanted him to come on today after, negotiations broke down and, there were hurt feelings because of the smoke from Canada was drifting down into the United States, and United States was saying, well, we can't negotiate with idiots that can't control their own forests and stuff like that. I thought, you know what, we got to have Peter back on. And he said that he has a new book. So I'm excited to also tell to you about that. His new book is called Don't Die in Wildfires. We're going to get into breaking down that, as well as really some good tips on what you can do to protect you and your family from wildfires and from malicious governments all around the world. So we're going to get into it here very shortly. It's Unscrew the News. I'm so excited. We're going to unscrew some news with you. But before I do that, I I do like to talk about local businesses and make sure that we are supporting local businesses. But tonight's episode, we are episode number 297. It's August 5th. And this is titled Peter MacIsaac, Don't Die in Wildfires. Anyway, before we get started, like I said, I want to talk about some local businesses. One of them that I love supporting has been here with me from the beginning is nuggetstacker.com. You can save a bit going through my website. You can go through my website at unscrewthenews.com, get the discount code, go to nuggetstacker.com, and get your gold and silver, protect your family's wealth. 1-866-644-2121 is their number if you have any questions. We've got a very exciting event coming up that I'm going to be participating in. I will not be speaking so much, but I will be on a panel. And I'm going to show this to you just because it is going to be, I think, a fantastic event. Coming up September 11th is the VIP dinner. September 12th is the day for most of the speaking events. So to go from 8 until 9:30 on that night, we've got some fantastic speakers. Francis Widowson, Bruce Party, Fergus Hodgson, and this is his event. We got Amy, Eileen Ham, Michael Wagner, a number of great speakers, Nadine Wellwood, Tamara Leach is going to be there, Jason Levine, and Helen Gruz is going to be there, Corey Morgan. You can see all of the people that are going to be here. Anyway, get your tickets. I think they're $200. I've got a discount code it's UTN10. That's UTN10, and that will give you 10% off. You can just go right here, buy the tickets, or we are looking still for some sponsors. So if you want to jump in and sponsor the event, we can get you that information as well. All right, let's get off to Peter, and we're going to have him join us. Thank you very much for joining me, Peter. It's fantastic to have you. I'm going to read just a bit from the book. Let me see. Some of the descriptions here says, after 29 years of battling forest fires and the incompetence that let them rage, Peter watched homes burn, families lose everything, and billions vanish into preventable disasters. From Nova Scotia's arson-fueled infernos to California's 2025 catastrophe and beyond, governments push, evacuate, and pray. Peter says, hell no, prepare and fight smart. And that's why I have this fine young gentleman joining me. I'm excited to have him as usual. Peter, thank you very much for joining Unscrew the News. It's awesome to have you. Oh, don't forget, he's also the author of Redneck Conservative. And Peter, it's a pleasure to have you, man.
For the invite, buddy. I'm glad to be back. I've got family out your neck in the woods, so hopefully they'll get a chance to hear this broadcast.
Well, I hope so too. What are the things that I wanted to bring up here? Give me 1 second while I find this clip that I wanted to play. So just give me a second while I make this work. But I thought this would be a great way to start off. And this is from Juno News. Hang on 1 second. Let me just fiddle with this a bit. Author. So this is the guest for Mark Patrone. This is Elizabeth Nixon. And I want you to hear a little bit about what they say. So stand by while we play this.
Forest fires. I know this is an issue that's near and dear to your heart. Many of these fires were started intentionally, and you believe there are nefarious reasons behind them, not just accidental starts or even people who are starting them intentionally. You feel that there's a conspiracy behind the reason why this is happening. Is that fair?
I guess I would call it a conspiracy in which most players are unconscious. The fires are caused by something called natural management of our forests. This is throughout the world under directives from the United Nations. My parents were friends with Bob Rogers, who is head of Crown Zellerbach and a lieutenant governor in British Columbia. He told me once, we used to pull up the stumps and we used to burn them. We take the deadfall out of the creeks and burn it. Clear cut or fire breaks. he said, and they stopped us doing all of that. So what natural regulation means is that all the trees all the seeds that fall are allowed to grow. So it's like a whole bunch of little carrots growing up in every forest in the world. They are not thinned. They pull all the water from the aquifers beneath. They desiccate because there's not enough water. And then they become fire ladders. It's just that the forests are filled with tinder. So all you need is a lightning strike or a stupid, malignant kid to start a fire, and you've got a conflagration. So when I wrote Eco-Fascists, I worked with...
I'm going to stop her right there, Peter, but what do you have to say? Was she not far from the truth, or?
Well, the reality is the number 1 and 2 causes of fire in Canada are lightning strikes and human caused. And human caused here in Nova Scotia, around on the East Coast, our number 1 cause of human caused fire is arson. And the largest fires we've had in our provincial history have been arson fires. And so I look at one of the things, not only did I fight wildfires, Bruce, for 29 years working for the Nova Scotia government, the other part of my job is I was a game warden, and I was an investigator, and I was a trained wildfire investigator. And when I start looking at the data across Canada now, I see an awful lot of fires that get labeled as unknown. Unknown is because many provinces don't put trained investigators in anymore because if it comes as arson. And it was, arson's obviously fires that are set intentionally. That destroys the climate change wildfire narrative that the federal government has been pushing since roughly around 2010 going forward. I'll give you an example, Bruce. Even tonight here in Nova Scotia, for the first time on our weather forecast, they actually had a different color. They went from red, because the temperature was going to be 86 degrees Fahrenheit, to now a brighter red, almost hot pink type color with heat warnings. and that's temperatures of 86, man. Now, you mentioned earlier that, a young fellow, I'm not that young anymore. I'm 68. The issue is that when I was a kid growing up, buddy, we didn't go to the beach until the weather hit 86.
That's right.
It was too cold. And now we're inundated with these weather warnings. We've got wind. There's a warning for everything now. It doesn't matter what it is. So the narrative switched roughly around 2010 that everything was driven by climate change, and that's nonsense.
I've talked about this, or I talk about it on a regular basis, but I think I did an article just speaking about, or it was a part of the article, was talking about how the media, when you see the weather person up there, you were sort of alluding to this, but now when you look at the weather, it used to be greens and yellows and maybe some orange and reds. But now we're basically walking out into lava every day of the week in the summer, and they want people to stay inside. Like, don't go outside. The lava is going to get you. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous, but they don't have to say anything. They just have to put it up on the screen. And when you look at it, it looks scary. Obviously, those colors are meant to put fear into the people, right?
Yeah, it's all a fear-driven narrative. So here's what happens. When people are afraid, they're easier to control. I did a number of interviews with Jason Christoff, who's a mind control specialist. And he talks about this all the time. If you read Jason's work, and he'll say that almost everything that we're hearing today in regards to the climate narrative is designed to subconsciously make you afraid. And when people are afraid, they turn to someone to solve their problems. And the current governments, both provincial and federal, want you to turn to them to be their savior. Well, these are the guys who screwed it up. These are not the people you want to turn to when it's time to save yourself. They're the last people you want to turn to. So that's why I just got upset, Bruce. That's why I finally wrote this book on Don't Die in Wildfires. I was watching people, last winter when I was watching the fires down in the Palisades, and I was watching these people die, and I was watching this stuff. And I mean, I've been incident commander on over 100 fires. I spent 29 years doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And a matter of fact, I fought some pretty big fires north of where you guys are out there in Calgary, up towards Edmonton. And what happens is when the government started to push the climate change narrative, systematically, you would think if they believed what they were telling you, they would start investing more money and more personnel and more equipment into building more infrastructure for fighting forest fires. I mean, the common sense approach would be, if we're going to have more fires, we need to prepare. We need more men, we need more equipment, we need more resources. Well, they did the exact opposite. Beginning around 2010, all across Canada, provinces started to cut their firefighting budgets. Here in Nova Scotia, around 2013, we took down all our fire towers.
Mm-hmm.
Low tech, 100% work, better than anything electronic they've been able to come up with. They're gone now in Nova Scotia. At the same time, they got rid of, we used to have a helitack team. And for people that don't fight forest fires, Alberta has some of the best fire jumpers in Canada. And they're what they call REP teams. Those are the helicopter teams, tip of the spear, that go in when you first get a small fire, and they'll rappel down on ropes and they'll begin firefighting. Those are the guys that keep some of these fires under 10 acres or 4 or 5 hectares. And if those guys don't show up, those same 4 or 5 hectare fires turn into 50 and 60,000 hectare fires.
Mm.
And all across Canada, beginning in around 2010, Bruce, we have fewer fires, but they're bigger.
Right. And you had said last time that we talked, and I just want to remind the audience some of the stuff that you were saying, but the helitack teams, and just use Alberta as an example, or Nova Scotia, whatever's relevant. But I thought you said something like it was an insurance policy that cost the province about $1.5 million. Wasn't that something in that range?
Yeah. So here in Nova Scotia, we had a full-time helitack team stationed in central Nova Scotia. And those guys are the guys during my career, we relied on them when we had fires in remote areas. And those are the ones that eventually turn into the biggest fires. Mm-hmm. Those guys would be sent in on helicopters. And by the time ground crews arrived, they would, in most cases, already be putting fire on the, they'd be putting water on the fire, and they'd be doing water drops from the helicopter, because a helitack team inserts a team of highly trained professionals as fast as possible, and then they'd start doing water drops. And the helicopters that they use are big enough to move a full helitack team with all their equipment, and then start doing water drops. Mm-hmm. Now, Calgary, you guys have, there's multiple sizes on helicopters, and then fixed wing also has their place. But the ultimate tool for firefighting, are helitack teams. Those are the guys that keep fires small until ground crews can arrive to start working. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even in Nova Scotia, where we're all caught up, we're not like you guys are out in Alberta. But even down here, Bruce, we'd get a fire and sometimes we couldn't, the helitack team would already be on the fire for an hour before ground crews could arrive.
Right. And so obviously, yeah, of course. All right, let's get into the book. Give us some of the tips that you would say, are some of the most important for people to remember, or people that they can get from your book. And I have the link in the show notes, so that if people want to get it, but they can find it. I'm going to bring this up here quickly. Sorry, give me 1 second while I do it. I'm going to bring this up here so people can find it on Amazon. I'll just show them here quickly where you can find it. Boom, there it is. Right there. Don't Die in Wildfires, 29-year wildland firefighters battle tested guide to save your home, family, and life when flames strike. All right, Peter, give us the goods, man.
Well, the biggest thing is that you have to get prepared. The last thing that you want to find yourself is in a situation where you're out in the backyard with the kids. You've made no plans whatsoever. You're in a fire-prone area, right? Which is the majority of Canada. Mm-hmm. Once we get up 100 miles above the U.S. border, almost all of us are susceptible to being caught in a wildfire or forest fire situation. It is incumbent on every single person who lives in that area to put together a plan on exactly what they're going to do in the event that a day happens when all of a sudden you're in the backyard with the kids and you start to smell smoke and the sky gets gray. You haven't been listening to the radio. And then an emergency alert comes across your phone saying you have to evacuate immediately. And what most people end up doing, Bruce, is they panic. Mm-hmm. And that book that I wrote is basically a field manual on how to get prepared. And you can start preparing immediately today. And there's a number of steps that you want to do. The most dangerous area around your home in a forest fire, for example, is the 5 feet closest to your house. And so there's a whole series of things that you can do beginning on day one, and they're relatively inexpensive. So there's 3 zones around your home and your property that you can learn to protect. And that's all laid out in the book. And that's the area that's 5 feet right around your house. If you've got dry brush and stuff and wood piled up next to the house and a fire blows through the area, your house is probably going to burn down.
Right.
And I'm going to tell people this is that, and they may not want to hear this, and the government says, but they can't say they'll do it. Harden your property so that when a fire blows through, your house doesn't burn down. You're prepared. You've got go bags. You've got everything organized. Everybody in your family knows here's what we need to do. You run a fire drill, and it might take you a couple hours, fully organized. But ultimately, when the government is telling you that you need to just evacuate and pray, that's nonsense. Because a lot of people are underinsured.
Right.
I watched what happened in the Palisades, and I was watching people die because people were put in charge for government agencies who should never have been there. They were DEI hires, diversity, equity, and inclusion hires. And you can't count on those people when things go south to be able to look after you. You have to get educated and take at least the basic steps to be able to protect yourself. And one of the things I think I told you the last time we're talking, Bruce, one of the simplest things that I recommend to every person in Canada that lives in rural area near a forest is buy yourself an above ground inexpensive pool that costs $400 or $500. And if you look after them, they can last for years. And in the spring, fill it when there's lots of water in your wells as soon as the snow's gone. And that way you have a couple extra 1,000 gallons of water to protect your property in the event of a fire. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole series of things that you can do. And in the book, it's laid out. It's very explicit. It's like a go-to manual. Here's what I need to do. And then like some of the other steps are, not only do you harden your property, you lay out and you can use as a private citizen the same incident command system that the government uses in all emergency situations, basically worldwide now. And it's laid out like a military operation. Yeah. And so you and your neighbors can get fully prepared and learn, here's what each of us is going to do in the event that we get a notice that we're under a forest fire alert. And we'll all have two-way radios. Everybody knows what channels to be on. Everybody has their go bags. They've got stuff packed that they can grab. They've got stuff in their car. They know 2 exit routes that they're going to be able to get out. And by the time you read this book, you're going to be able to make a decision in that first 10 minutes, within the first 2 minutes, whether you're evacuating or you're going to stay and fight.
Okay. Can I stop you right there? Because I want to pull back, 30,000 feet again and look at this. So most recently, July 29, we just listened to Fauci and, his bullshit sitting there, the science, the truth, that guy who, couldn't say the truth, couldn't speak. And, we were all supposed to listen to him for years. Now he won't come up with anything. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, and you alluded to this earlier, is the government have let us down. These agencies, the people that are running them, they are not here for your best interest. They are there for themselves. They are there for their climbing the ladder or, filling their pockets, whatever that is. But we can't depend on government agencies at all. I mean, we have to take care of our families. We have to take care of our homes. We have to take care of our pets. You know, if that's the case, and I also say that towards healthcare, is that you have to be the advocate for your family, and this is just another piece in that puzzle. So I appreciate you bringing this book forward, and I always like having our talks because you have this common sense sort of attitude that a lot of people don't have. They don't understand, and we see it, as you've already pointed out, is that the people in charge, sometimes they have no clue, and they haven't done this, and they're thrown into these positions, and I think that they're meant to fail. Personally, that's my thought. Well,
What happened was back in the 90s, when DEI became a federal government hiring policy, and down in Nova Scotia here now it's provincial hiring policy, which means the best people no longer get hired for the job. And when those people get put in positions of power, when they apply for supervisory and management positions, if you don't promote them, they sue you.
Right.
And so right now, across all levels of federal and provincial government in Canada, we are saturated with, the incorrect term is woke-tards. We've got so many woke, incompetent people in positions of power and management that have your life and your safety in their hands that shouldn't be there. It is absolutely mind-boggling, staggering. I covered it in my first book, The Redneck Conservative, and I cover it in this book, Don't Die in Wildfires. You have to rely on yourself. You cannot rely on them. And here's what will happen is, even when fire crews show up, some of those fire crew are going to be DEI hires as well. And when they start looking at homes that they can save, if your home hasn't been hardened with the steps that I lay out in the book, they'll just bypass it. That, like, they can't save them all, but the people that have taken the basic steps, and it could be just as simple as having 5 or 6 garden hose laid out with the taps turned on. So if they walk up to your home and they can put out a small ember fire, they may be able to do it with having to lay their own hoses and lines. So everything happens in a sequence. And because I'm not a writer, right, and I'm only a so-so storyteller, sometimes when I'm telling this stuff, I can go off on tangents. But the issue behind this, everything that I'm telling you, is this: the forest fire issue in Canada and in the US and other countries around the world is not a result of climate change. It's a result of government incompetence, and decisions have been made, and the forecasted long-term results are now coming to fruition, where we have fewer fires, but they're bigger. Mm-hmm. We have, where you guys are in Calgary right now, Bruce, you guys have the state-of-the-art best firefighting plane basically in existence, in the process of being built. Yeah, and it's the de Havilland 515, and it's an upgrade from the CL 415, and they're going to be made in bulk in Calgary. Canada's not going to be able to get any of those until, at the very earliest, I believe it's going to be 2032.
Yeah, another 6 years.
Yeah, so in Europe they went, yeah, we got the same problem. These guys are making them in Calgary. Let's get some ordered up. So we're making the very best, but we're not going to have them to use. No. And the federal government knew about this back in 2010, where we were having problem shortages. And like I said, rather than take a long-term view and start buying these things and getting these things ordered and being first in line, they sat back, did nothing. And now, when the United States says that you folks are mismanaging your forests and forest fire efforts to the point that now you're affecting our economies in the U.S., we have it coming to us. We deserve it. We did it to ourselves. Yeah. Because we elected people that are, well, you've got a couple of different categories, right? You've got idiot, moron, and simpleton. And simpleton is when your IQ is somewhere between 50 and 70. And we've got an awful lot of them right now in upper level management positions, right, in the Canadian government. And unfortunately, we have a lot of them in the forestry service. Now, don't get me wrong. Over my career, I worked with some really good people. But I came from an era back when DEI hiring wasn't happening. And if you were a screw up, you were out the door in no time. And now you can't get rid of them. No. So You look at what
guess who they're going to hire though.
They
Peter?
hire buddies.
Yeah, but they're also going to hire the same thing. They're also going to hire, inept and and not qualified for the actual position. But if the management is now doing the hiring, of course they're not going to be. They have no clue what it takes to fight a fire. So of course you can't hire to fight fire. You're going to hire to just fill the spot.
In 2023, Bruce, we had a record-breaking forest fires in Nova Scotia, and our premier was in the press every day, and he was asking for help. And I put together a 5-man team of recently retired guys, like myself. I think between the 5 of us, and I think we had a 6th guy, we had over 200 years experience between us. And we offered to deploy for the government inside the incident command system wherever we could be used. And that would have been in overhead positions because, we're getting up in years and we're not the guy that you want to have on the nozzle.
No.
So 5 days in a row, we got turned down. And every day the premier was saying, we need more help. And we had, for here in Nova Scotia, it was a big deal. I think $200 million fire, multiple homes burned down. And I got pretty upset about it. And I cranked out a video and I exposed what happened, and that got 170 some million views worldwide. So that was one of the catalysts as well for me to write this book, because people need to understand how things have gone wrong and how they can get involved politically behind the scenes and force the government to deal with these issues. We need some of these to have on 515s. We need, I don't care what province you are, you need a helitack team. Right? I'll give you an example in Nova Scotia. We just ordered up new helicopters, and not one of them are capable of delivering a helitack team. It was done intentionally.
Oh my God!
Right? We just got funding and we got new helicopters. Not only that, we hired on 4 fixed wing aircraft, like they were crop dusters that they've got geared up to be able to do water drops, and they're not skimmers, which means for folks who don't understand, when a helicopter goes in on a fire with a helitack team, those experts are on the ground and they're in constant communication with the guy in the helicopter who's dropping water.
Yeah.
And then as the additional resources arrive, everything gets coordinated because we already have a team in there, an airtack team. And it's like a campfire, guys. If you have a campfire and it starts to get away on it, you kind of want to put it out before it gets out of your little camping area and burns the entire campground down. And the only way you can do that is be the guy right there on the fire as soon as possible.
Right.
And rather than provinces take the money, our taxpayers' money, and fix this, rather than fix it, they keep passing over the mistakes they've made for the last 10 to 15 years. The bombers that we have now can't skim, which means when they do a water drop, they have to fly to an airport, land on an airstrip.
No.
Yes, they do, buddy. They have to land on an airstrip, take on water and fuel. They can't be fueled out on the site like a helicopter.
Jeez.
And every drop. And we just, this sounds like coffee money out in Alberta, but that was a $6.5 million budget lease that we just took from New Brunswick. And they gave us planes that they don't want anymore because they realized they need pontoons that they can do, a water pickup on a nearby lake, and it shortens their turnaround time. It's like an absolute cluster F. It's the kind of, it just frustrates a guy like me so badly when I watch how things are going south that, like I said, I got frustrated and wrote a book. I'm not a writer. I'm just a guy telling stories and telling the truth. And I fully expect with the new legislation in Canada, probably to have a knock at my door here soon, saying, you need to come with us, Mr. MacIsaac.
Yeah.
Your book's being taken off the air.
Yeah, tell me about it, right? Oh my gosh. I'm skimming through Twitter looking for some of your videos. The video that you told me about was the one that I was eagerly trying to find, but I haven't been able. What's that?
Well, you probably won't find a lot of my stuff. I got hacked. That's the second time now. As soon as I get up around 8,000 followers, I get hacked, and I lost my site again.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, just a couple months ago, and I couldn't get it back. And so I had to go back in and start from scratch. So even all the contacts, I mean, I had hundreds of contacts. When I was doing that talk show out of Europe, man, I was talking to folks from all over the world. And a lot of people were watching not only what we were doing inside government to try to fix this mess with independence. And I talk about it, the solution to how do we fix this stuff in government's inside the last chapter of the Redneck Conservative. And so all of these books are me trying to tell stories to people that once that book is in your hands, the government cannot censor it.
Exactly.
Because every story you and I try to tell when we get on air like that, the government is going to try to censor it. And it's only going to get worse. And that's why I put stuff in books, because I said, well, you know, I don't care if there's one copy of a book, it can be passed around to 100 different people. That message, they can't censor it.
No, 100%. Well, just a brief note on me. I started this project 3 years ago, partly because I wanted to document the stories. And I knew that, you know, that time would also come where we might not be able to speak. So I save all my stuff offline so that it's all documented offline. So hopefully, you know, at one point it's a treasure trove of accumulated stories of what we've gone through. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing the book, and people should buy it. Definitely.
Well, here's the thing about it is if you have a written copy, that written copy can go in your go bag. Like I laid out a list of everything that you should have down here in the Maritimes. Bruce, in my vehicle, I have a go bag, and my wife has one in her vehicle, and we have a two-way radio. And on the side of that two-way radio is the channels that written in Sharpie. The channels that we'll be able to talk to one another on should the grid go down and we can't talk on phones. Those aren't expensive things. It's $150, man. Yeah,
it's a great thing. I bought them at Costco. That two-way radio. Nice. When I saw it there, I was like, okay, I gotta buy it. I'm going to share a story with you. I don't know if you saw it, but just this last weekend, the long weekend, the Columbia Valley was out of power for almost 24 hours. Did you hear about that?
No.
Cranbrook to Golden. And I had my daughter was out there with some friends at a cabin, and we found out about it after it'd been, you know, the power had been out for something like 9 or 10 hours already at that point. But it was pure panic. I talked to another friend that was in the area, and he said it was almost like Mad Max. It was very close to, you know, people absolutely losing their shit because you couldn't get gas, you couldn't get groceries, the restaurants were closed, they couldn't serve, and people were losing their stuff. So anyway, back to your book. These are important things to get in place before it happens, and make sure that you have, you know, some things already worked out as far as how will you deal with the incident. Well,
here's the thing about it. If you live in a forested area in Canada, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even something as simple. Even in the book, I lay out how do you protect yourself afterwards in regards to insurance claims. At what point when you're evacuating do you call who's ever handling your insurance? Mm-hmm. If you can't reach your kids, how if let's say they're at school and where are you guys going to end up at? What if you go to leave on an escape route and there's construction or there's a tree down? When was the last time you drove your expected escape route in the event of a forest fire? And you shouldn't have just one route, you should have two. Not only that, you should have some stuff around your house that you can pick up. I mean, it's simple. Bruce, people will leave home without the key medications they need. And imagine being stranded. Look out in Jasper. How long were those people away from home?
Yeah.
People need to understand in Jasper that there was one team of close to 50 professional forest firefighters with some of the best equipment available in the industry, and the federal government would not allow them to use that equipment to save homes in Jasper. The federal government made them stand by and watch stuff burn to the ground.
Yeah, we talked about that. I
fire hydrants, and the people didn't have the right size fittings to put fire hoses on the fire hydrants. Well,
Because they had changed them recently or something like that, wasn't it?
somebody hadn't made sure that on the fire equipment that they had the proper adapters for any situation.
Right.
This is not rocket science, but what it is, it's something that if you don't have a field manual on how to prepare for it, you're going to panic. And when people panic, people get killed. Either they get killed or they're going to lose everything that they, spend a lifetime trying to accumulate. And a lot of it can't be replaced. And there's a series of steps that even if they only have 1 hour notice, you can do most things that'll save your home in 1 hour before you have to leave, so that odds of your home being burnt down are reduced by 90%. Wow. 90% of homes burned down by embers, not by actual flames that arrive from a forest fire. And there's a whole series of things that you can do, from make sure your windows are shut, duct tape over any of your open vents, make sure anything that's air exchangers, everything's turned off. I even have a chapter in there on what to do with your pets. Like, sometimes I think, my my tomcat might be more important around here than me to my wife's son. And if I leave that tomcat back in the fire evacuation, man, I'm going to have to deal with it. But you know what? There's a plan in there for it all.
Right.
And if you're monitoring, I'll give you an example. If you're in some of these dry areas in BC or out in Alberta or up in northern Quebec, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Once it's fire season and you get a stretch of warm weather, you can go online and monitor. In most cases, here's what's going on with the fire weather. In the back of my book, there's a whole section on there where you can, in very short order, learn how to look at that data and go, yeah, we got a real problem here. Family, we need to make some prep right now. Make sure both vehicles are full of gas. Make sure that two-way radios are in the vehicles. Make sure everything's tested. Make sure we have extra batteries. Make sure the go bags are in there. Make sure we have the transport stuff for our pets. Call ahead. Make sure, if you think that you're going to be stranded, it'd be very wise for you to call around and say, where can we get a hotel room where we're going to be able to take the dog?
Yeah, exactly.
But all these are things, if nobody points them out to you and you get a 10-minute or 20-minute warning, you're basically going to, you're going to crap yourself and panic and you're going to lose a bunch of stuff that you don't have to.
Okay, I'm going to bring this up. One more video to show, and I just pulled this up. Washington State fire. So this is obviously what's happening down in Spokane, and for 67,000 to evacuate, destroy 700 buildings.
Yeah, and let's see. Did you right there? It says arrested suspect connected to Spokane area fire, an arsonist.
Yeah. Arson for sure.
Okay,
or I mean, not necessarily for sure, but I mean, they had arrested this guy.
Okay, so
city of Spokane.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one moment.
And we took 37-year-old Aaron Farnacci, a convicted felon, into custody on a single charge of arson in the first degree.
Police say a tip led them to arrest Aaron Farnacci, who was seen where the wildfire initially started on Saturday. He's scheduled to make his first court appearance today. The Old Trails fire is one of 3 major blazes burning around Spokane, forcing some 67,000 people to evacuate and destroying at least 700 structures.
The witness, a citizen, very good citizen, noticed a male standing on the side of the road looking into the trees as he was going to pick somebody up. About 10 minutes later, as he was coming back through the area, he noticed the male was bending down near some grass. At that point, the male stood up and looked very nervous, according to our citizen witness. At that point, the male walked away. The citizen returned to their house. A short time later, after being at home, they saw smoke coming from what they believed was the area that they had seen the male.
Well, this is going to continue as you and I have aptly pointed out, but you don't have to be completely dumb about it. So get Peter's book. Peter, you were going to say something else. Go ahead.
Yeah. So ultimately, the odds in Canada of you experiencing some kind of effects or an evacuation from a forest fire are exceptionally high. Sometimes we'll get fires in Quebec that we can smell here in Nova Scotia. And it's no different to fires in Ontario that affect what happens sometimes in New York City.
Right.
So sometimes you may only have to evacuate because of air quality. But if you do have to evacuate, you need to evacuate with a plan.
Yeah.
And the plan on how to do it is in that book. The reason why I did, because there is no book, I got online. They said, well, I'm looking for a field manual from somebody with my experience who actually knows what he's talking about. And he's not giving you this politically correct garbage. And all I want to know is, how can I save my family and my pets and maybe my house? Mm-hmm. Do I have to take information from people that have been proven to habitually lie to me? And the answer is, you can do it on yourself. Now, if you have health problems, you need to get out of Dodge as quick as you can. But if you're in good shape and you follow what's in that book, there's a whole series of things that you can do where your odds of coming out the other end virtually unscathed, or way off, or at least prepared, that you can go back in and recover. You're looking at a couple of coffees there. It's at the cost of a couple of coffees at a Starbucks, and to buy something that can protect you and your family from something that you very likely going to have to experience in your lifetime.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Peter, I can't suggest people buy this book enough. Obviously, I love having you on. Like I say, you have common sense, and it's just straightforward. I love that about talking with you, and you're not beating around the bush. So I think that there's going to be some great information for people to pick up. And is there anything else you want to finish off with?
Yeah, I didn't realize this on my first book. Like I said, I'm not a writer. I'm a guy who'd rather be hunting and fishing, to tell you the truth. But it is important, if you get anything in there that's of any use to you out of that book, share it with your friends. I mean, if you've got a buddy living back in the woods somewhere who's got a camp that they would like to, it's got a lot of heritage. You won't. Maybe it's your homestead. Buy a copy for somebody. But what's really important, I didn't realize on Amazon, is if it's of any benefit to you at all, I really would appreciate if once you read the book, is go back and give it a review on Amazon, because that helps them promote it. Because I can guarantee you the Canadian government does not want this book promoted.
No, of course not. It just shows the blemishes and some of the backward thinking of our government. So, well, we'll continue to point out the lies, point out the truths. Peter, it's been a pleasure as always. It is such a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. And I hope you have a great night. Just stick around, and we're going to say goodbye to the audience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, one other thing too, guys, because I got hacked and lost my X account. If you see me for the first time, you can find me at Peter R. MacIsaac 1 over at X, and I'd appreciate a follow.
Okay.
And other than that, guys, I always, I get tired of people telling me to stay safe. When it comes to fires, stay safe. Other than that, take a bunch of risks. And my mom used to say I was going to burn the candle out of both ends, and I plan on dying with no candle left.
Well said. Well said, Peter. All right, you guys, if you're still watching, as I always say, make sure to share this out. Get some more eyeballs on this information. Buy Peter's book. And I look forward to seeing you guys all really soon. I've got some great shows coming up. Tomorrow night, I've got Danny Bermawi coming on, and he's going to talk about how Islam cannot coexist with Christian society. So stick around for that. That'll be tomorrow night. Anyway, you guys, I always say, let's stay sane together. Keep your head on a swivel. And I hate saying stay safe, but God bless you all. This is Bruce, and I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless.